What is going on, everyone? My name is Mark Reel Jr., the Father's Rights Attorney, and you are watching another episode of the Father's Rights Playbook. And on today's episode, I am flying solo and answering questions from our DMs. The first question I'm going to answer, and one of the most common comments we get, is around, why is my judge unfair? Why does my judge favor mom? And so I want to take a few minutes here to address this and address what the root causes of your perception of this are, and maybe what you can do to change that. When I hear, why is my judge unfair? Why are they favoring mom? Now, we can go straight to the statistics. The statistics say that statistically, judges across the country are more likely to grant custody to mom than dad. And there's any number of factors. Many of the older issues that I think that are really cleaned up at this point are gender-based. We can also say the same thing about race. And I look in California here, our criminal court judges a lot of times will end up in family court and vice versa. The judges can transfer to different areas of law. I remember sitting in a conference, a lunchtime keynote, and an individual talked about how, this would have been 5-7 years ago, that an individual talked about how race plays a factor in sentencing in criminal court. And so basically it was, the darker your skin, the longer your prison sentence. And also, men and women that committed the same crime, men on average spent 3 more times in jail. If a man got 3 years on it for the same crime, similar situation, a woman on average would get 3 years. So we know that there are, whether this implicit biases or different issues in the system that cause this, but I'm always very, very hesitant to blame a judge being sexist, a judge favoring mom in individual cases. I think for the most part here in California, we have a good group of judges on the bench that do the best job they possibly can. Usually in cases where dad comes to us and says, I'm getting screwed by the judge, you look at the orders and that appears to be the case, there's usually some sort of underlying issue. It usually revolves around behavior in the courtroom. Because at the end of the day, judges, bailiffs, courtroom assistants, all these people are human. A really common theme amongst individuals who make this claim is that their behavior in the courtroom is less than ideal. This may be an outburst, this may be interrupting the judge, this may be not doing what the judge asked you to do, but just generally acting like an ass and frustrating the judge, frustrating the court process. Even though you may feel like you're fighting for what's fair and just, the judge may view it as you going at it in the wrong way. This can show itself in anything saying the judge thinking you don't have impulse control, or you may have anger issues, or how is mom going to deal with you if you don't even listen to the courts. So if you find yourself in these situations, I always encourage, you can always change opinion. And a lot of times in California, every couple years, you're going to be in front of a judge. If you have a custody case that lasts 5 years, there's a good chance you're in front of 2, if not 3 or 4 different judges over that period of time. And so you're probably going to get a second bite at the apple. So in instances like this, the best advice I can give men and fathers is that you need to treat every single court appearance from day one as if it's the biggest job interview of your life. You dress the part, you treat people with kindness. You wouldn't go to a job interview and be rude to the receptionist at the front desk. You wouldn't go to a job interview and be rude to the janitor or security. The same thing can be said for court. Don't be rude to the courtroom assistant. Don't be rude to the bailiff. And most of all, show the judge the utmost respect. Number 2 is, have all of your things in order. Don't be scrambling around. Don't come off as scatterbrained. Have everything locked in. And then last, I think this is probably most important, where these things usually spiral is when you start making these accusations that have no evidence behind them. You start telling the judge they're unfair. You start saying that this is a sexist decision and that you're going to sue them. And I've seen it. I've seen it in open court, and there was no basis for it. There are sometimes, but in these situations, there was not. And the judge and the rest of the courtroom staff, they're human. That's not something they're necessarily going to just be able to shake off. And so really treating your time in court as if it's the biggest job interview of your life, and it kind of is, will get you so much further than hurling accusations, behaving in a way that turns many people off from even wanting to be around you. That's my piece. So at the end of the day, are judges inherently unfair? No. Implicit bias is a thing, statistics are a thing, but in general, we have a group of really good judges on the bench, and if you go in and you take the attitude that you're going to get screwed and that you're going to get treated poorly and you reciprocate that, it's not going to get the best outcome for you. Where if you treat it professionally, do what you're supposed to do, and you treat people with kindness, you're going to increase the likelihood of a positive outcome. So I hope you guys found this episode informative, informational, hopefully a little bit entertaining, and we'll see all of you guys next week on another episode of the Father's Rights Playbook.